All right, welcome back everyone for another deep dive. Today, we're looking at something a little different.
Yeah, definitely a bit unique.
It's called celestial echoes.
Yeah.
And you know what's really interesting is we've got two different versions to work with here.
Oh,
So we've got the lyrics from an audio file, but then we've also got a written document of the lyrics as well.
okay. So we get to kind of compare and contrast, see how maybe the same piece changes when it takes a different form.
Exactly. It's like, what choices did the creator make when they were putting it into the audio versus when they wrote it down? And how does that change the way we experience it?
Right, right. Yeah.
So both versions, they tell this like really passionate love story. But the lovers are, get this, the sun and the moon.
Whoa. Okay.
Yeah. But then it kind of takes a turn. Like things don't stay all rosy. You start to see the sense of loss and like big questions about life and everything.
Like questioning the whole experience.
Yeah.
Totally.
And the way they use personification, it's not just like the sun and moon are symbols.
Mm-hmm.
It's like they're characters, like real players in this whole love story.
Yeah.
Like there's this one line, the sun, his strength, a warm embrace.
Mm.
Or the moon, like me, forever bound in love's embrace. It's like you can feel their connection.
Yeah, I see that. And, you know, it makes you think about all the different meanings people associate with the sun and moon.
Oh, right, right.
You know, like the sun's strength, masculine energy,
Mm-hmm.
even creation, some cultures.
Mm-hmm.
Then you've got the moon, more feminine energy, cycles, intuition.
Wow, yeah.
Adds a whole other layer to the story, you know, when you think about those meanings.
Absolutely. And then there's these huge, like, swings in emotion, you know, like 1 minute it's all happy, a procession of light, a burning art forever etched within my heart. And then bam, it's like, was it all for naught under the midnight sun? Super heavy, like full of doubt.
Intense.
Yeah.
It's like the way love can be, right? You get those incredible highs,
Yeah.
but then the lows, they can really hit you hard.
Yeah, they really can. And speaking of differences, there's some specific words that change between the audio and the written lyrics.
Oh, yeah.
So in the audio, it's a celestial cause, a symphony divine.
Okay.
But the written version, it's, oh, celestial echoes, a symphony divine.
Interesting. So they added oh and echoes. Huh.
Hmm.
What do you think that does?
Right. Like, what's the effect of that?
Well, I mean, oh, it definitely feels more like emotional, like someone crying out, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And echoes, it's like, even though it's over, that experience, it still has this impact. It's lingering.
Yeah. Yeah, the memory's still there, even if the moment itself is gone.
Exactly. And it makes you wonder, like, was it even real?
Hmm.
Or was it just this echo of something that wasn't really there?
Whoa.
And that's where this whole comparing the formats gets really cool. Like, why those changes, you know?
Right.
Just a different vibe for each version. Or is there something deeper going on, you know?
Yeah. And you know what else adds a whole other layer? The music. So the written lyrics actually mention that this piece, Celestial Echoes, it was supposed to be a progressive metal piece.
Progressive metal. Wow, that's pretty specific.
Yeah, it is. So what do you think? How would that style, like progressive metal, affect how someone understands these lyrics?
Well, progressive metal, it's, you know, it can get really complex, lots of instrumentation,
Mm-hmm.
but it often deals with like really intense emotions too.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it would really add to the whole experience of the lyrics, you know?
Yeah, yeah. So for people who aren't super familiar with progressive metal, what would they expect? What kind of sound are we talking about?
Well, the musicians, they're usually incredibly skilled. They use like these long instrumental sections.
Okay.
And a lot of times there's this sense of like grandeur, drama. You know, it can be pretty epic.
Yeah. So imagine like those parts where they're talking about how much they're in love and you've got these soaring guitar solos over it, you know? Or like the sad parts where there's all this doubt
Yeah.
and then you get these like heavy dissonant riffs.
Wow.
It could be like a really powerful experience.
Definitely. Yeah, the music could really like guide you through the emotions.
Totally. So we've got this complex story, these vivid images, and then this potential for this really specific music. What stands out to you as we start to unpack this whole thing?
That's a good question. I think what gets me is like it's so personal, you know, this love story.
Mm-hmm.
But then it's also like this huge cosmic thing with the sun and moon. Makes you think about where we fit in all that vastness.
Right, like our lives are so small, but the emotions, the experiences, they're part of something so much bigger.
Yeah, yeah. And it all goes back to like those cycles, you know, sun goes up, sun goes down,
Mm-hmm.
moon, it waxes, it wanes. And we're right there in it, with all the ups and
The
downs.
ups and downs, yeah. And speaking of change, even in the lyrics themselves, it feels like things are shifting.
Oh, how so?
Well, those little differences between the audio and written version.
Right, right.
It's like maybe the piece itself was changing, evolving as the artist was working through it all.
Huh. That's a really interesting thought. Like maybe those word choices, they reflect how the perspective changed over time.
Yeah, maybe they understood it differently as they went, or maybe it was just like a subconscious thing.
Yeah, like they weren't even really aware of it, but it was happening anyway.
It's like we're getting this behind the scenes look at how they were creating.
Right. It's like the art, it's not just this finished product.
Hmm.
It has its own life, its own journey.
And that's what makes it so powerful, I think. It's not static. It can mean different things to different people or even to the same person at different times.
Yeah, exactly. It depends on what you bring to it, your own experiences.
Absolutely. And, thinking about those emotional swings, all those highs and lows,
Hmm.
it makes me think about progressive metal itself. Like, the music itself often has those big shifts in mood, in tempo.
Oh, right, right. It's like the music becomes this like reflection of what's going on inside the speaker's head.
Totally. So you might have these, like, really beautiful melodies when they're talking about love,
Yeah.
but then it gets really heavy and dissonant when things get, darker.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, it makes you wonder, right? If they used a different style of music,
Hmm.
would it even feel like the same story?
It might be a totally different experience, and it shows how important it is, like how those different art forms work together.
Yeah, totally. Like, imagine if the person who wrote these lyrics actually got together with a progressive metal band
Oh,
to
wow.
make this into a song.
That would be
Like the
amazing.
lyrics and the music, they would just like feed off each other.
Yeah. Oh, I can almost hear it now. Like those driving drums, all the intricate guitar parts,
Huh?
and then like these soaring vocals over the top. It would be incredible.
So powerful. It's just that's the beauty of art, It lets you use your imagination, fill in the gaps, make it your own.
Totally. So, taking all of this into account, the emotions, the cosmic stuff, the potential of this music, what do you think this piece is trying to say? What's the message?
Hmm. That's the big question, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
I think it's different for everyone,
Yeah.
honestly. But for me, it's like even when things are uncertain, even when we lose things, we can still find beauty, find meaning.
Yeah, yeah, in our connections, with each other and even with the universe.
It's like even though our experiences are temporary, the echoes, the emotions, they stick around. They connect us to something bigger.
Exactly. Wow, you've given us a lot to think about. What are like some of the main takeaways you'd want our listener to remember from our deep dive into celestial echoes?
Yeah, it really does feel like we've just dipped our toes in the water here.
Yeah, we've got this framework now, but there's so much more to dig into.
Exactly. And that's what's so exciting. It's like we've given you the tools,
Mhm.
but now it's up to you, the listener,
Yeah.
to take it from here. What speaks to you about this piece?
Yeah, like what questions come up for you when you listen?
Right, right.
We talked about the sun and moon as characters, but, you could go even deeper.
Mm-hmm.
Think about the myths, the stories about them,
Yeah.
and how those connect to what we're seeing in celestial echoes. Do they line up? Do they challenge the ideas?
Exactly. And remember those emotional shifts we talked about?
Mm-hmm.
Like, how does that play out in the structure of the lyrics themselves?
Yeah, yeah.
Is there a pattern? Maybe even a cycle, like we were talking about before.
Oh, that's cool. And we can't forget about the music.
Right.
Like, if you were going to turn Celestial Echoes into a real progressive metal song, what would that sound like?
Oh, yeah.
What instruments would you use?
Right.
How would you capture all those big emotions?
That's a great exercise. And most importantly, don't be afraid to have your own take on this whole thing.
Yeah.
What do you think Celestial Echoes is all about? Is it tragic? Is it a celebration? Or is there something else entirely going on?
Yeah, there's no right or wrong answer here. That's what's so great about art. Right?
Exactly. Everyone can get something different out of it.
So, to wrap up our deep dive into Celestial Echoes, remember, this isn't the end of the journey. It's just the beginning.
Yeah.
Take what we've talked about today, add your own ideas, and see where it leads you.
Exactly. Keep exploring.
We hope you've gained a new appreciation for how powerful creative expression can be, and how much meaning there can be, even in something that might seem simple at first.
And how many layers? It's amazing what you can find when you really dig in.
Absolutely. And we hope it's inspired you to keep looking for new experiences, to see things from different perspectives, and to always keep asking those questions.
To never stop learning.
Exactly. Thanks for joining us for another deep dive. We'll see you next time for another adventure into the world of knowledge and creativity.